Here's something I've been considering from our other conversations. What are some of the senses we can use to discern if something is real?
Oh my God. So is it real or is it actual? It's always our inner senses. You know, the five physical senses, God help them, those are used only for the physical world. It's just for that. You can't reach your inner world using the physical senses. So to discern if something, and you mean real, such as something on media, or just
I
that
suppose
somebody's
because just being on media doesn't mean it's real, right? So
usually not.
I would say actual truth.
Well, I think here's my opinion of that. And I don't know if I can give a perfect example, but for myself, I have to go on what I have learned in the past. What have I learned? What mistakes have I made wanting to be comfortable with not having to think for myself? Because that's what you will be taught. That let's give you a dopamine dump where you don't have to think for yourself. You don't have to be anything with or for yourself, and we will make it easy for you. You don't get to do that and live a good life in the long run. So it's always that state of mind, your situational awareness, which is using your inner senses to maneuver around your own physical senses. Here's an example. You see something on television. Well, that's interesting. And it's bringing up that word that our guys just harp on these days. Enraged, do your outrage. There is rage, because it's giving people the permission to do that. And there's consequences for that. But what you are being told to do and what you feel in your gut are going to be two different things. To me, that's a great indicator. When you feel, why am I being given permission to join a group of people to be outraged and do outrageous things? You know the difference and you know that, but sometimes we give up because things are just hard, we're overwhelmed, and so what? I mean, you'll usually figure it out. But I think your main line of defense is learning the lessons from your past and being quiet long enough and not being forced to react. It's that thing we mentioned last time, all this stuff you see online, on television, the fighting, the screaming. Look out your window. Do you see any of that going on? If you don't, that's most people. If you do, God help you. You're in a violent place, and I send prayers of love and protection to you. But most people, you don't. Now, I can say easily for myself because I look at all this media, all the different sites that I can, the different intel, the different little 5-second thing from influencers and podcasts. Most are saying the same thing. Listen to me. Do what I do because it will make my world bigger. We want our world to be bigger, and do we want to influence other people to live in our own density, our own signature of frequency that says we are right? So develop in yourself. You can play a little game. Say, I'm just going to ask my gut, what do I feel about all this? And you'll get sick of getting no, 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 no. You'll get so sick of it, you'll think there's nothing good out there. There's plenty of good out there. But when somebody's trying to influence you, you've got to trust your inner senses. You have to trust the God within you. You have to trust what's wholesome and what's decent and what is kind, because that doesn't cost anything.
That's right. What I hear you saying is that everything is really about our state of mind, but we don't even know that we can control our state of mind.
Well, we do and we don't. We do and we don't. Because when we are calm, That state of mind is going to be pulling off of your feminine senses of that dignity, that intuition, the care, the love, the light, and men and women have those same divine feminine senses. But when we are outraged or ignoring that calm, then it's on. You know the difference. But I think most of the time it's so easy to get caught up in this stuff. That's part of the lesson of Earth. This is going to hurt. This structural stuff is demanded of us, gravity, emotions, time, space, boundaries. That's what Earth is about, is very Saturnian. And you can't come here and say, well, I'm just not going to do any of that. Well, you'll lose everything that's valuable to you. The largest organ of the body is the skin. You've got to have skin, you've got to have boundaries, and you have to be able to take a piece of your own inner structure that you've learned his work and apply that to the outside world. Now, that being said, you don't have to be a victim to it, but you will discern and you will find ways to maneuver this world. It's just like a big circus, and you'll find out what works for you and what doesn't. But you have to try.
You have to try to find your place in the circus. You might not be a clown, but you have somewhere to be.
Love the circus. Oh my God. It's one of the archetypes that I would just adore. When I was a kid, and I know y'all love my stories. When I was a kid, I had awful, awful allergies in Birmingham, Alabama, and I was probably 5 years old. So, mom and dad, it was suggested that we'd go down to Florida to see if that relieved any of it, just to get away. So, we went to Sarasota. And Sarasota was where the Ringling Brothers Barnum Bailey Circus did their summer camps, or their winter camps, is what it was. So we're down there, and I'll never forget, we were in the training area, and there was this lovely woman, and there was a horse that was as big as, oh my God, for me, I was tiny and it was huge, named Bianca, a big white circus horse. And she said to my father, do you think she'd like to get on it? And he's like, not yet, but hell yeah. She's a horse fanatic. She loves horses. And the lady says, I hope she's not scared. We can put one of those belts on her to where we can lift her off if she gets scared. And he says, oh no, just put her on there. So they put me on this horse. This horse was huge. It was probably a Percheron. My legs are sticking straight out on this horse. And the horse starts to go around the ring. I was in heaven. I'll never forget that as long as I live. And ever since then, I've been obsessed with the joy and the freedom I felt about the circus. So, what gives you the sense of joy and freedom? This circus can be chaotic. It can be, it's not my monkeys, not my circus, or we can find joy in it. It depends. There's a lot of sensuality, sense oriented things. It's very exotic. And what the exotic does is take us out of our daily grind. And we need both. It's that good and evil are poured into the same cup and we drink it unaware. So there's always the other. It's always, always, always there. We always have access to that joy and that dignity. But once again, it's the state of mind.
So if good and evil's in everything, then our state of mind being afraid is really just wasting our moments of joy because there's no reason to be afraid.
Well, there's plenty of reason to be afraid. The world's a deep, dark, evil place. It really is. And
So
you're
joy.
gonna be afraid. You're gonna have horrible things experienced in your mind or physically. It's gonna be hard. You're gonna have a lot of loss in life, but it's how you grow a backbone. It's how you get stronger. Don't run from it. Say, this is horrible. Who can I get to help me? And what am I learning? I use the allegory of when the power goes out. So back at my farm, when the power went out, I'm like, okay, now I can see where I'm weak. What do I need to fix? So I'd always fix something when the power went out. So when you're having a hard time, you're going to want to freeze because you might not know what to do. We're going to feel a little self pity. We're going to go through that grieving process. We're going to go through the denial, the anger, the sadness, and we'll finally get to the point to where either we're further away from it to where it doesn't matter and the crisis is past, or the crisis is gone underground, it's going to come back. Can you tell? Not always. But there are times to be afraid. You have that freeze, fight, flight syndrome for a reason. You have that. But the problem is when we get stuck in it, when we get stuck. And that is when we can't move forward. And I think that's the problem.
Yeah, it seems like when we get stuck in the physical or in just in our fears, we're not able to try, we're not able to move forward, and everything um, amplifies the badness of the situation.
It does. That's a good word. It does amplify it. And it amplifies it to show us what we need to go, where we need to go. Should I go in this direction and that direction? And once again, there is help available either inside of you or outside or from other people, places, things, information. It's always there. It may take a time to try it, but the key is persistence in believing and not losing hope. And that's a very hard thing to do.
It's especially hard when we're feeling vulnerable or broken down, overwhelmed.
Yeah, and that's going to happen when we have a crisis. That all goes together. It's that same soup pot. It's like the fogging, fear, obligation, and guilt. Those things, when they're working as one, that's very powerful. You're going to have hard things happen. You're going to have shitty days, weeks, months, maybe years. Maybe your life's awful. I don't know. But I don't think we're always a victim to that. Now, there are very victim circumstances that you can be in. And that can be very true too. Is it always karmic? No. Sometimes we're creating new situations, but we want to be able to look at when we can. When I can, I'll speak personally. I want to be able to back and go, I did the best I could, but I didn't know this, or this. So what am I not seeing right now? In fact, you and I were joking about this before we went on air. I said, in 10 years' time, I hate to think what I'm going to think about me today when I look back. I call it the Waffy syndrome. What a friggin' idiot. Like, I can't believe you did that, Sully. Are you serious? Are you serious? But I didn't know any different. But the consequences is what calls us forth. So you will feel fear in your life. You will feel sorrow, degradation. You will feel all of the human emotions in your life. The key to wholesomeness is what do you do with them?
That's one thing I was wondering is how Wafi syndrome is a great word for it. How do we become more gentle with ourselves, our past selves and our current selves for the times when we're being a friggin' idiot?
Oh boy, that's a big one for me. I can be very hard on myself. I like my patterns. I like order. I'm very formal with people. I want to be kind to people. I don't like to hurt people. And I feel like I'm accountable for my icky behaviors. And I think it gets back to what we were talking about last time. Why can't I treat myself as though I'm my beloved? Why
Mm.
can't I treat myself as though I am the caretaker that I've always wanted as a child? Why can't I treat my inner self with the kindness? Why can't I do that? And a lot of that comes from our childhood. Parents, my God, parents aren't perfect. Nobody's perfect, but we do get imprints and we cause imprints. And then we spend a lot of time as adults, we go through our retrieval, our recovery retrieval. My parents did this, they didn't know any different, but I need to fix that in myself. I can't keep acting like I'm an 8-year-old, and It's it's a sociological issue also. What does each society demand of us? If you're living in India, if you're living in Pakistan, if you're living in China, the United States, Canada, they're all sort of social rules and issues that give you permission or not to forgive yourself, to be kind for yourself. We're taught that it's selfish to be kind to yourself. And it's ridiculous. I like if you listen to this wonderful gentleman, he's on YouTube, Chase Hughes. Chase was an agency guy, I think, and he is a world class. He interviews people, and he what is that word? He interrogates people, and he talks about human behavior. But he said that we need to learn, and he has radical forgiveness. I'm not there. It bumps right into my big flashing sign of codependency. What do you mean, totally forgive myself? Well, then I'll never get it. So I'm not there. In 10 years, I might look back and go, why didn't you get that? Why not? These things are progressive. And a lot of times it has more to do with stopping doing than continuing to try. It has to do with our ability to be vulnerable in safe populations. Where can we be vulnerable? How can we be vulnerable? I had my first experience with that when I went to Stevens College. I got an AA that's in Columbia, Missouri. It's a nice college for girls who probably weren't going to do much with their life. But that's where I was. And I was taking psychology and we had to do these social programs. And I went to help the student and she was blind. And I thought she would say things like, I go over there, Judy. And I said, Judy, what can I help you with? She said, well, can you go and to the cabinet and get me this? And I bring it to her. She'd say, thank you. Then she'd say, can you get this or this or this? And I thought, how? I didn't know what word to call it. I said, how can she just trust? It was such a mirror for me because of the society I grew up in, where you had to answer immediately. You couldn't change your mind. You had to look a certain way. You had to wear white gloves when you went downtown. Of course, this was Alabama in the 50s in the deep South. But my society never knew that. Vulnerable? Are you kidding? You've got to be kidding. So there are times and places where people will enter your life playing the roles of gods. And those gods come into your life to poke you with a needle and say, wake up. Now, after my psychology class project, and I wasn't helping Judy anymore, I forgot about that. But I began to be curious about vulnerability. I didn't know what to do with it. I was 18 years old. You don't even have a brain at 18. Oh my God.